Hi, everybody. This is Alexandra St. James. How are you?
If you could let me know your pronouns for that,
My
please.
pronouns are she, her, and hers. And for those of you who like a bit of humor, her grace, her majesty also work very well.
That was one of my first questions. Was when you performed, there was somebody that was near me going, "Yes, Miss Iowa, go Miss Iowa." What is the Miss Iowa
I
title?
am, I hold a few Iowa titles, actually. I am Miss Iowa Leather for 2017, and I am the first trans person to ever hold a leather title in the state of Iowa. I am Empress 30 of the Imperial Court of Iowa, which I am the first trans person to hold the title of Empress in Iowa. I am also the first trans person to hold the title of Empress in Illinois. And I competed a few weeks ago for Miss Gay Des Moines, which is one of the prelims to Miss Gay Iowa. And I am the current Miss Gay Des Moines.
That's so fun. I didn't know there was like so many like competitions.
We have a lot of pageantry and a lot of things that go on here. A lot of times, Iowa is accused of being a flyover state because people think that because our community is so spread out that we don't have a lot of things. Guess what? We have a lot of things for you to get involved
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, what got you into drag, and how long have you been doing drag?
with. Drag happened by accident, then became intent, and then became, oh wow, here I am.
Mm.
Um, I am a former child entertainer. I did lots of theater and commercials and print modeling and things like that when I was younger. And around my mid 20s, I realized I was trans.
Mm.
And I've told this story numerous times. Um, Nobody was hiring
Mm.
trans girls and trans women in the mid 90s. And if they were, it was things like Maury Povich, Sally Jesse Raphael, Donahue. A lot of the talk shows were doing the whole, is that a man or a woman sort of thing. Um, a lot of people who are now family members were on those shows. Um, and so those shows were the moments when I went, oh,
Mm.
oh, that's a possibility. Um, then I went and started performing because I had always been a performer. And so it was, well, nobody's going to hire me. So I'm going to have to go
Mm.
where I can work.
Yeah.
And I could work in gay bars. Now, obviously, I have sort of given away how long I've been doing this. If I am not mistaken, the first time I ever went on stage in drag was in 1994. So the math is now, are we at 30 years?
Mm.
Yeah, we're at 30
That's
years.
amazing. Wow.
Yeah, so I've had a career. Um, and I've worked across the country, and I've been blessed that there was a point where my life did turn around and I got to go back to doing what I love, which is theater. So I've been blessed to be able to do both.
Yeah. So you said you traveled around. What brought you to Des Moines?
Oh, I've been here 10 years now.
Mm.
10 years ago I was living in Chicago, and where the world was for me 10 years ago is not the same. I was struggling with work. I couldn't find employment. I was also at the very sort of beginning stages of my transition, so it wasn't quite gelling and it was very difficult. Um, and I found myself in a really crappy roommate situation. And I called some really good friends here, and they were like, this is where you want to be anyway. We'll make space for you.
Yeah.
So I packed up and left. And when I got here, my life sort of turned around.
Yeah. What would you say makes you stay in Des Moines, even though Des Moines is such a red state right now with so many unfortunate laws that are trying to be passed against the LGBTQ
When I got here, it wasn't a red state. It
Yeah.
has slowly evolved into one. One of the reasons why I stay is because I fight. I am one of the people that they don't like to see me coming in the Capitol. I've had a few moments in the Capitol with things like education and things like anti-LGBT Q legislation, and I'm always going to fight. You know, sometimes it gets a little hard because when you're a trans woman of color, you already have a target on your back, and then to turn around and really make yourself one, it can be a bit nerve wracking. But
So, what would you say is your hope as a performer and just as a person here to bring to Iowa, or even just the community?
I hope that's a couple different answers. So the first one, I hope as a performer, I always bring audiences joy. I love performing. It's a core part of who I am. I want to record. I want to do more stage work. I would love at this stage in the game to get back on the small screen, to do some television work. I know this isn't necessarily the place to do it. So at some point in time, you know, I'm going to have to leave. I may have to leave just to make those things happen. Um, I've always fought for this community. I fought for this community even when I was living in Chicago. I have pro- I went to school here. And I don't know if people know that. I went to school in Northeast Iowa, so I spent a lot of my younger years in Decorah, Iowa. So I've always Iowa has been my saving grace and my resting place, and where I come to recharge. And so when I found myself here, it was a lot of weight had been lifted off of my shoulders. What I'd like to see for the community is more inclusivity, understanding and accepting that people are different, understanding that people may not have the same views as you, and that's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. Being able to listen, being able to take time to say, okay, these people aren't like me, and that's okay. Um, yeah.
Yeah. If you could say something to Governor Kim Reynolds, what would you say?
I would honestly say that you have not listened to all of your constituents. I can honestly say that you have spent more time pandering to an aspect of the community that is not caring and not giving. I find that you have done detrimental. You've been detrimental. They History is written from the perspective of the victors. And if you don't pay attention to history, you will be doomed to repeat it. Some of the laws and things that you've passed are taking us back to a place that will lead to violence for people. This latest bill about women's health care, come on,
Right.
you are taking us to a place that is going to cause harm. You have listened to things that are going to be destructive to children. In your claim to save them, you are condemning some children to harm, and there will be blood on your hands. You have not been someone who will go down in history as someone positive.
What does being a performer mean to you?
It's my life. What does being a performer mean to me? It's my life. It's my life's blood. It's the thing that saved me. I was a queer little boy a queer femme little black boy living on the southwest side of Chicago, and being creative and being a performer saved me. And as I evolved into the person that I am today, it's been the thing to keep me alive.
Is there anything else in your story, in your journey that you want to share that maybe I missed in the question
You know
or
what? I'm going to say this to anybody who watches this. I'm going to give you one good bit of advice. Live your best life and understand that who you are is important, who you are is valid, and your journey is not ever going to be the same as somebody else's. But remember, pay attention so that you can always tell your story.
thank you so much.
You're welcome.